World Muay Thai Kickboxing Champion Mr. Pad Noi Warroop would like to welcome you to his exciting video on Muay Thai kickboxing. This is authentic Muay Thai kickboxing training. He would like to start with the proper equipment. Of course, the traditional Muay Thai pants. The shorts are very baggy for easy leg movement. A good jump rope is needed for jumping rounds, conditioning, and an ankle brace. Of course, wraps for the hands. You must wrap the hands properly to avoid injury to the wrist and fingers. This will be shown in detail a little later. Without the proper equipment, you get injured easily. Now, the groin protector is a steel cup, not fiberglass. In Muay Thai, it's steel, to avoid knees to the groin that might be accidentally thrown. This is probably your most important piece of equipment. Training gloves for hitting the bag, made of high-quality leather and padded. Very important piece of equipment. And then, of course, you have your boxing gloves for Muay Thai. Shin pads for training. Your assistant holds the pads and you execute roundhouse kicks to the shin, to the pad. And hand mitts to execute your punching technique. The hand mitts, the kick mitts are all very important for Muay Thai training and conditioning. The investment is very small, but the rewards and protection are needed. Another important piece of equipment is the mouth guard. This protects the jaw and teeth from breaking. This piece of equipment can be purchased at any sporting goods store. Do not train or fight without it. Now, in Muay Thai, the fighters wear the traditional headpiece. This is to show respect to the gods and to your camp and trainer. Very symbolic, ancient piece of equipment made of cord, weaved together. Master wants you to have the proper equipment because with the proper equipment, it'll put you in the right frame of mind to train properly. Now let's go into wrapping the hands. Master would like you to follow along as he wraps his hands so you know how to do it properly. And this must be done when training or fighting. Very, very important. Start by securing the wrap in the palm of the hand. Do numerous rotations. Then go over the back of the hand behind the thumb to wrap the wrist area. A lot of people forget to wrap the wrist, which is very important. You must do this. Do not forget. Then go back to the thumb and over the back of the hand. Secure the thumb again. Tightly around the wrist. Not so tight as to cut off the circulation. A comfortable, tight grip. Make sure your fingers are mobile. You can make a fist open and close in your hand. Now go in between the fingers, and this will complete the wrap. A good trainer will know how to do this, but you must also learn how to do it yourself, just in case a trainer is not available. Tuck it in tightly so the wrap does not come undone. Then, of course, the other hand must be done. It's the same exact procedure. Notice how securely he works on wrapping the wrist. You notice many fighters will only do the palm and the knuckles. But in Muay Thai, The punches are thrown with such power that wrist support is definitely needed. Upon completion of the wrap, tuck it in tightly into the palm area. With the hands wrapped, you're ready to train. Let's get started now and follow along with Master. Now, many people ask, what is the Muay Thai warrior dance that is performed before each fight? This is very symbolic and ancient. When performing this dance, fighters are showing respect to their coaches, to their village, to their school. They're more or less unique to each school. It's like a kata is in the martial arts, or a form in the martial arts. If the audience sees the fighter do a certain dance, they can say, oh, he's from that school in that part of the city, or that part of the country. So it's a very respectful gesture. It's very hypnotic. A Muay Thai fighter would not dare go into a bout or begin his fight without performing his symbolic dance. It's a show of respect to the audience, to everyone at the event. It's also a little way to psych out your opponent. If your school has a very tough reputation and he sees the dance, he might think, whoa, he's from that school where the tough fighters are. Of course, this is not required of foreign fighters, people in America or Canada or Europe, unless they really want to get into Muay Thai culture. The music is very hypnotic, and it gets the fighter involved. It brings out his spirit. Let's get into the Thai kickboxing warm-up and conditioning exercises with Master Putpad Noi Warut. Begin the workout by jumping rope to warm up the body. Of course, the complete Muay Thai conditioning routine is not here, just every aspect of it. In a real training session, you would jump rope for maybe 5 rounds. 3-minute rounds with a minute rest in between. But because of the tape time, we can't include the whole workout. Just all the exercises of the workout, so you can see the technique involved. Okay, like most sports, you begin with a warm-up and stretching routine. You must loosen up the body. You don't want to cause injuries. You don't want to pull any muscles or ligaments. Never, ever go into a Muay Thai workout without warming up properly. Very, very important. The routine shown is a good daily exercise just for keeping in shape. Follow along with Master. Rather simple routines, but important exercises. Work on your shoulders now, loosening up the shoulder joints, the deltoid area. Besides getting you in shape, these exercises will just make you feel good. Go for it. Muay Thai, the sport of the 90s. Neck exercises are very important in case you get struck to the face area. Work the chin vigorously back and forth, strengthen the neck.
เพื่อให้คอแข็งทีเวลาปั้มตีเข่าเนี่ยตรงนี้ทำนะครับให้คอแข็ง
These neck exercises are also important if your opponent grabs you behind the neck. Okay, now working with a partner.
จักกี้จะสาธิตวิธีการบริหารร่างกาย
You're going to stretch out
ฉีกขาเพื่อเวลาสำหรับเตะ
for the fast, powerful Muay Thai kicks to the head area. You must be limber and flexible. Try this stretching routine.
ขาก็จะฉีกมากจะได้เตะสูงเวลาเตะที่สูงเนี่ยครับ
Now, if you're a beginner and you can't full split, like Mr. Warroot's partner is, just do the best you can. Don't overdo it.
ตัวอ่อนแล้วเราได้เปรียบครับตัวอ่อนเราเวลาเตะเราได้ปิดเตะอะไรได้
Work your way slowly into top condition. It's not going to happen overnight. Try the butterfly split now. To do these exercises, remember, you don't have to have someone stand on your legs. It's just to show how far you can go with Muay Thai training.
Okay. นี่คือเราฉีกขาอย่างนี้นะสุดท้ายได้เวลาเราเตะสูงครับต้องเตะได้สูงนะ
See how high the leg goes with proper stretching. In Muay Thai, kicking to the head is very, very popular. It's the #1 technique.
เวลาจะฉีกขาหลังจาก
Many knockouts are caused by kicks to the jaw, temple, neck area.
ต่อไปนี้ผมจะสาธิตวิธีบริหารกล้ามท้องนะฮะแล้วก็นั่งนะแล้วก็นอน
Another area that must be toughened and conditioned is the stomach. The pad being struck to the stomach simulates a punch or kick to that area.
ต่อไปนี้ผมจะแนะนำวิธีบริหารขานะเพื่อให้ขาแข็งแรงสำหรับชก5 ยกนะนี่ฮะช้าๆนะครับ
Now, to work on strengthening the legs, you do partner squats. This is a tough one. Looks easy, but very tough on the legs. So start out slowly, maybe 10, 15 repetitions, and then eventually build up to 100 or 200. Also a good stomach leg exercise. Stand over your opponent, swinging his legs down, and he concentrates on swinging them back up. A very good resistance training exercise for the midsection and legs. To add extra resistance to the push-ups, to build the shoulders and triceps, have your opponent hold your legs up. You'll see a big difference. Much harder to do than having your legs on the floor. Always show respect to your opponent. You should always include shadow boxing within your training and warm-up routine. This complements the entire body groups, warming up every muscle, legs, shoulders, arms, neck, stomach. Shadow box for rounds, maybe 3 3-minute rounds, build up to 5, 6 3-minute rounds of shadow boxing. It's also good to work in the mirror. Use continuous techniques. Work hands and feet together. All these techniques will be shown. And of course, road work. Probably the #1 endurance builder. This will strengthen your heart, give you the stamina to go those tough rounds in Muay Thai kickboxing. If you want to be a champion, you've got to train like a champion. Got to work hard every day. Now let's get into the nitty-gritty techniques of Muay Thai kickboxing. This is the guts of the art. Let's start with stances and footwork.
แล้วการเราต้องอยู่สูง
Put your guard up properly.
ถอยหลังขาหลังไปก่อนนะ
Keep your fist a little below eye level.
นะแล้วเข้าทำ
Now, learn to move forward, back, and to the side.
แล้วเข้าทำ
Front and lateral
สาม
movements.
นะหนึ่งแล้วเข้าทำนะทีนี้ผม
Notice
ทำ
how he steps
เร็วเลย
and drags the rear foot
นะ
and steps back with the rear foot and drags the front foot as he moves front and back.
นะขาเราตลอดเวลาขาเราต้องไม่อยู่
You should be following along with the master. Move with him. Feel the movement.
สองสาม
Front, side, and back.
หนึ่งนะ
This basic footwork is very important for avoiding strikes to your body and for moving in and cornering and striking your opponent. Muay Thai is a very, very scientific art. People say it looks brutal, it looks like an easy art, but it's not. It's a science. And only those who study it properly will be champions at it. Now, in this drill, you're noticing how the master is using footwork to avoid getting hit by his opponent. He uses footwork to just shift out of range of the strike, and then he shifts in to counter-strike. Muay Thai uses a upright stance, not very wide or deep. And it's a stance that you're always moving in. You're never standing stationary. Why? Because, of course, a moving target is much harder to hit. Don't develop the attitude that you're so tough you can stand there and take it. The last thing you want to do is get hit. You want to give it out, but avoid having contact being made to you. Notice how the master moves out of range of the kicks. He brings his knee up to block or to stop a strike to his body and counters. Again, concentrate on the footwork and body movement, stances, shifting side to side, front to back. That is the main emphasis of this sequence. This develops your ring strategy, controlling your opponent in the ring, positioning your opponent in the ring, setting him up for shots, all the techniques that will be shown later. Just by knowing how to move properly, how to evade the power of a strike, can keep you from getting hurt or knocked out. It's amazing how people, all they want to learn is the punch, block, or kick. But the footwork is just as important because that keeps you out of trouble. Get ready for the Muay Thai kickboxing punching techniques. These are the hand techniques of Thailand. Start with the basic jabbing motion. Strike out, and as you strike out, you twist the fist at the last moment to make contact. Follow along with master. When you do the jab, you're also employing the footwork you just learned. Moving in on your opponent, striking, keeping him at bay with the jab. It's a reaching motion. The jab is a reaching motion. It has good distance. He's directing it straight to the nose, jaw area. Notice how it springs right back into the guard position. The jab is very quick. You don't want to leave it out there. Watch the application of the jab. You see, as he throws it, he shifts in slightly. Notice the great reach. He executes it directly to the jaw. Bring it right back into the guard position. This is very, very important. He doesn't telegraph the punch. It shoots straight out from its hand position and back. You don't wind it up. Now, the punching technique of the jab and right cross combination. This is a powerhouse technique which will take your opponent down immediately. Jab with the lead, and with the right hand, come straight in. The jab is a setup punch. The right cross is the power punch, the finishing punch. Notice how the right cross comes straight in. Almost like another jab, but with more power from the shoulder. Work it with your footwork. Work the combination. The jab sets it up. The right cross finishes your opponent. By the time your opponent tries to recover from the jab, he's hit with the right cross. Let's work it on the hand mitts. Get your coach or your partner and train this combination. Train it until you can do it in your sleep. Speed is of the essence. 1, 2, 1, 2. That's the motion. 1, 2, 1, 2. Let's learn the hook punch now, as taught in Muay Thai kickboxing. The hook punch is an in-close technique. It's a knockout technique. Watch carefully. This will be executed after the jab, cross, then the hook. The technique is to shift off the back leg and torque your body into the punch. Practice executing with the left and right hand. This hook punch is delivered to the jaw, to the side of your opponent's face. The hook punch is often followed with an elbow strike, as you can see. The elbow will be taught individually a little later. But keep your eye on the hooking technique of this punch, the body motion that's involved. After you execute the hook punch, follow with the elbow. Now, execute it on the hand mitt. As you can see, the hook punch and the elbow are virtually one technique, because if that hook punch misses, the elbow is following. In Muay Thai kickboxing, they don't stop if the punch doesn't find its mark, because the elbow will probably be right on target. This is why Muay Thai kickboxers are so feared, because of the elbow techniques. Now, the next technique of Muay Thai is the uppercut strike. Watch it carefully. It torques up into the jaw. Keeping the arm bent, drive it straight up. Incorporate a lot of speed And a lot of times it's set up with the jabbing technique. The uppercut's a strike that your fighter, a lot of times you won't see it because it's coming from underneath. Besides using it to the jaw, it's also used to the midsection, rib area. Again, always following up with the elbow strike in case the uppercut misses, or the hook punch misses, or the jab misses. Muay Thai always has the elbow following, as you can see. Now, with your partner, practice this on the mitt. The uppercut is used for in-tight fighting. Now, the technique you've been waiting for, the deadly elbow strikes of Muay Thai. This is also a great street fighting technique. The elbow is one of the things that make the Muay Thai fighters so feared and so respected. Notice the motion. You torque the entire body into the strike. Lift off of the back leg slightly, and then follow with the front elbow. From any position, the elbow can be applied. The strike executed is coming down across the face. Starts at the temple and works itself down across the jaw, nose, eye. When executed properly in the ring, it results in a lot of cuts to the opponent, which, of course, will stop the fight. The tips of the elbows hit like razor blades. Very, very sharp, bony, striking machine. The elbow, of course, is for in-tight fighting. Clinches, holes behind the neck. You have to be very close to execute the technique. That's what makes it so effective in street fighting. If your assailant grabs you by the throat or wrestles with you, apply the elbow. Watch it on the mitts now. Quick, sharp motion. Very natural. Follows each punch. Notice the development at the tip of the master's elbows. Look at those spurs. Those are calloused elbows from years and years of training and knocking out opponents. Incorporate the elbows with your punching skills. Now, let's put all these techniques together into punching combinations, incorporating all the techniques that you've learned. The main thing when working punching combinations in Muay Thai is to have them flow. Throw techniques that follow each other naturally. This will give you the speed needed to take out your opponent and make it virtually impossible for him to block all the strikes. Follow along with Master. Work your technique. Don't just sit there and watch. Get up and participate. Notice how smooth he strikes with the elbow and how he brings his opposite hand up to cover and block his face. He does not leave his body vulnerable to a counter strike. Now, as if shadow boxing, work just your hands only. Uppercut, elbow, jab, cross. Keep moving, forward, back. Use your imagination. Try and visualize your opponent coming at you. This is very important. Keep your eye on the footwork, the hand movements, the combinations, the concentration. Again, look at how he covers after he executes the elbow. He never drops his guard. In Muay Thai, you cannot afford to drop your guard ever. The moment you do, there'll be a